Talk on the block. I know you're waiting. All right, we're looking at the front page of the Sun newspaper there. Top United Workers' Party officials move to fill vacant deputy political leader position after departure of Joshua Francis. Choose a deputy, that's the big headline on the Sun newspaper. That's a big headline on the Sun newspaper. Choose a deputy. So apparently the Opposition United Workers' Party is in search of a deputy, according to the Sun newspaper. Kalai, you've been following this one closely?
Yes, Matt. Of course, they are looking for a deputy. You should be aware of that because we know that Joshua Francis is no longer the deputy leader of the party.
I would have thought that they would have waited, Kalal, until the next convention.
Well, yes.
In November.
Well, yes, they said that.
Okay.
Yes, they said they are waiting till November. That is the November convention. And from everybody, but in the meantime, they have to be looking, and there are names that are coming to the fore. We know that Joseph Isaac, his name has always been mentioned as a possible replacement. Also, we have the name of the guy that's Isaac Baptiste. His name has also been coming up, and also the international PRO, whatever name, I think Dr. Fontaine, whatever position he holds, he too, his name has been coming up pretty much in the fore to replace Joshua Francis for the deputy political leadership of the party. Be that as it may, remember, they are not going to go through that until November, because they said that it will be for the November convention, wherever that is going to be held. So I guess they still have time to pick and choose, and people still have time to do their lobbying and to do their canvassing and to decide.
Any other names topping the agenda, Kalal? I mean, I see three so far as it relates to Dr. Fontaine, Joseph Isaac there, and Isaac himself. Any topping the agenda in terms of who's most likely to replace Joshua Francis? Yeah?
I don't know. It's still early days yet. Still early days yet for that matter. It's still early days yet for that. So it's still very early to decide who's going to be front runner. Because November is still a distance away anyway.
November is just right around the corner, you know, Kala.
Right around?
Yes, it's right around the corner. You blink your eye and it's here.
November is still a distance away, definitely.
You think it is? I think November is right around the corner, man. Time waits for no man, they say.
Well, yes, while it's time waits for no man, however, I mean, you still have a distance to go for the month of November.
The name I've heard most of the time, it's interesting that the Sun is featuring two of the names that, because most of the time I've heard people speaking about a possible replacement. It sounded like it was Joseph Isaac. But we'll find out how that goes.
Well, remember, Isaac wanted the deputy leadership, Matt, early on, even before Well, when
Before elections.
right, right. So, it would be right to say that he wants it badly. You know, so you may want to say that he is among the top, but is he top? I don't know.
Well, he featured very prominently, as you said. The last election, his name was mentioned until Joshua Francis showed his face. Well, we'll see how that goes. Also on the Sun newspaper, the name Dennis Charles again is featured very prominently.
Well, because Denise Charles, and when I read
for Labour, yes,
is stating it quite rightly, because she is the favored choice of the outgoing Parliament rep, and also the favored choice of the Prime Minister. So it stands to reason that she very much is in the top three of getting that position.
In other words, you won't be surprised if she is the candidate.
I wouldn't at all be surprised.
But as we said, she's not as easy going and warm as Ian Pinat. And many may not find her favorable in the constituencies, especially some of those who find in favor with Ian Pinat.
That is very correct. That is very correct.
We'll watch that one very closely.
Yeah, that one very closely.
Thank you very much. Hello. So top United Workers Party officials again move to fill vacant deputy political leader position after departure of Joshua Francis. 3 names been mentioned: Baptist, Isaac, and Dr. Fontaine. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Matthias.
Good afternoon, sir.
I've been hearing your comments, Matthias, and it's going to be a very interesting hunting season.
Is a hunting season, the bread?
Hunting season is open, Matthias. And obviously, you have not mentioned the name of Luge.
Luge where?
Luge is in the north, in my constituency.
Oh, he's up for the deputy as well?
Yes, Matthias, because these are elected members. The front runners cannot be members who have not won their seat. Isaac has won his seat in Roseau, and Luge has won his seat handsomely in Goodwill. So Dr. Fontaine and Baptist, step aside.
Step aside. Is that what you're saying? Are they in government just yet?
Well, they are elected members of Parliament.
So that gives them the edge. That's what you're suggesting.
At mass edge, and do not forget, Luge won his seat by almost 500 votes in the biggest constituency in Dominica, which is the Goodwill Roseau North constituency. So
that's just, you're saying because of that he should be a top candidate.
Of course, he's a top runner, and he's doing well for himself. Fonkole, Gorta, Tarish, Pitiampis, the ghetto areas are vouching for Luge Matthias. That's where I'm hearing on the road.
Are you vouching for Luge?
Well, I'm not one of those what I call political operatives, but what I'm hearing on the ground.
How do you know so much the brain?
Well, I go to Roseau, I visit the constituencies, I hear the fuaka going on in the United Workers Party, and they're saying that this fellow Joshua is charismatic, and Luge is also charismatic. Don't forget he beat Julius Timothy badly, and he's a charismatic man. So they're looking also at Luge. And you did not mention his name.
No. I'm mentioning the names on the newspaper. The Sun newspaper is featuring the three candidates.
Well, the Sun has it wrong this time, Matthias. Very wrong.
All right.
Very wrong. What I'm hearing deep inside the United Workers Party is Luge and Isaac. These are the two front runners.
That's the two names that you heard.
Yes. And for the Labour Party, I'm hearing Charles, the woman.
Dennis Charles.
Yeah.
You think she would make a good candidate for Sufra?
Yeah, she's been the campaign manager for that boy, Pinard.
Uh-huh.
And when he was crying, she wiped his tears away.
So for that reason, because she was wiping his tears away,
wiping the tears away, and the Prime Minister wants that lady.
That's what you know, or that's what you're thinking?
That's what I know, Martha. She's going to defeat all other candidates. Your man, other man in Point Michelle, the PRO for the Football Association will not make it.
You mean Mr. Gerald George?
Gerald George is a no-no.
His name has been mentioned, huh?
His name has been mentioned, but Charles will defeat him handsomely.
It seems
anyway,
like you're doing some campaigning there by the brain.
And anyway, we are looking also at Rosa's son. What will your man do, our friend?
Who's that? The great Joshua Francis?
What, is he going down?
No, I don't think he's, from what I gather, he's not wanting to resign. Maybe they might force his hands. I'm hearing things like the Labour Party might move motion in Parliament. But I don't know. Is that what they're thinking, the brain?
Well, the thinking is that there should be a double whammy, but knowing what Joshua knows, he'll stand his ground, but I don't think the United Workers' Party morally would want him to stand that ground. I heard Angelo, my friend, this morning, saying that Josh should do the honourable thing and step down, and let's have a double.
Angelo said that this morning.
Yeah, he said Joshua has no moral authority to stay. He needs to get out and let us have a double whammy.
You think that is the case? Or should be the case?
I don't know. Speculate, man.
All of a sudden you don't know, huh?
I don't know. Matters, enjoy your afternoon.
Take care. The brain. There's a big meeting of the environment in Dominica taking place this week. We'll talk to Arthi Mate about that in a few minutes. Hello, talk to me.
Yes, Matt. Good afternoon. How are you?
How you doing?
Fine. Matt, it's very interesting that the brain came out so forcefully, but I didn't hear him forcefully condemning the actions that led to the resignation of the candidate from the representative for the Soufriere constituency. You see, Matt, this is the sort of hypocrisy that has our society the way it is. Now, he has been an education officer. He comes out gleefully, joyfully, but he's forgetting that children have been abused, used, and misused. He hasn't condemned it, but he comes out now talking about who is going to make it. And the reason why we're having a by-election is because a man has been charged in an offense against a child, and we should not forget that. And Brain, I want to hear his comment on that. Good afternoon.
But you see, but I keep trying to talk to you about it. You seem adamant that you want to talk about the issues related to just what happened as it relates to the by-election, and of course, people being arrested and charged. I'm just asking you to be very, very, very careful about that, because according to the Sexual Offences Act, you can't speak about what happened because you might be charged as well. 122, hello. Hello.
Matt?
How you doing, my brother?
And you see you have to admonish Mr. Robinson. I'm happy you admonishing him so that he can behave himself. Matt?
I'm here.
Do you think they should have a double bubble in the South?
They should have a double. I'm not the one deciding that, but it appears that some people are pushing for that, huh?
Yeah, they should have a double bubble, man.
You really think they should have a double bubble?
Yeah, man. Let us see what those guys are made up of.
Some people want to know why was the MP crying?
The MP?
Yes.
But Matt, the man did what he did. That something happened that the man, hey, look. The man, you see David, when David did wrong in the Bible, and the prophet came and tell him, David, do you know about a man that slept with somebody's husband? What David said? David said, prophet is me. David always admit what he do, you know. And the faster you can admit, Matt, when you do something wrong, it'll go better for you. You understand?
I understand very well. 123. Just be very careful. Hello, talk to me. My brother, how are you doing?
Cool. What I said is, man, everybody already know about this scandal that's going on, you know. It's a wrongdoing, and everybody will continue talking about it. So you try to stop nobody. People continue talking about it.
No, well, I'll have to keep trying, my brother. I'll keep trying because they don't. When the laws or the lawmen comes, they don't come for you. They come for the radio station. Get it right?
Nobody name is called.
No. If the slightest suggestion that they might think is that person.
So what I said, if he's a small man on the road, blows will be given to him. Everybody will know he's he.
No, well, whether blows will be given to him or not, they won't be giving him the blows on my show, for sure. I can tell you that. Until he's found guilty, give him all the blows or give her all the blows. I'm just following the laws, my brother. 125. Talk to me here.
Matt, I wasn't giving anybody any blows, you know.
But you seem to be wanting to bring it up in terms of talking about the issue.
I was just saying that we should not forget the reason.
And what would be the reason, sir?
The reason is that somebody has been arrested and charged with an offense.
Yes, and?
That is the reason, Matt.
Is not the only time that somebody has been arrested and charged.
No. There is no law they can pass that can say I cannot say somebody has been arrested and charged, Matt. No law can say that.
No, but you want to talk about the issue. How much more you can say about that?
I wasn't talking about the issue. I was saying that...
No, but you said we need to talk about the issue why they were. Or you wanted Brain to talk about the issue why they were. I'm asking you, how much more can you say than they have been arrested and charged? That's all I'm asking you.
I said that the public needs to be reminded the reason.
But they've been reminded a lot of times. But I'm saying, how much more can you say than the fact that they've been arrested and charged? That's all I'm asking you. 127, I don't think you have answered my question. 127, hello.
Matt, good day, my brother.
How you doing?
I am good, Matt. I have a question and maybe you can help me with the answer. I heard the Prime Minister saying that he is standing firmly behind someone in support.
Yes, in a literal sense, yes.
Yes, standing very strongly in support of this person. But I also, as far as I know, that person is not contesting any election. So my question is, towards what end is the Prime Minister standing so strongly in support of this person?
Well, I think you're asking the wrong person the question. You should be putting this question to the Prime Minister. Matt Peltier is not the Prime Minister. I can't answer for the Prime Minister. Sorry about that. 128. Thank you. Brother, I've been doing this for almost 20 years now. I know what you want to ask. You may be framing the question in the the wrong way. In 128. Hello, talk to me here.
They got to sit up and down and up, but they say, I just listen to you, Matt.
Thank you very much. It's 1:29. We're taking a break, and we're coming back after this.
Need a bit of spice in your life? Are you longing for the most delicious jerk options? This and every Thursday is Jerk Day at Barana Breeze Bar and Grill at Dive Dominica from 12 p.m. Savory local jerk pork, succulent jerk local chicken, and finger-licking jerk fish tacos, served with 3 Creole sides, and of course, a PC cold Red Stripe Bear or chill glass of Archipelago's wine selection. All this for only $40 inclusively. Get fired up this Thursday at Jerk Day at Dive Dominica's Barana Breeze Bar and Grill. And call 448-2188 to place your order or for more information. Or simply text your order to 276-4172 or 317-4322.
I heard my mother shouting, "Boy, you no good. Why you so worthless? You just like your no good father. I'll beat that badness out of you once and for all. Boy, I fed up if you know." All the violence we do to small children, the beatings, the shouting, the putting down, the insult. Is my father not guilty for treating my mother so callous and causing all this anger to build up inside her?
You heard it. The emotional story View from the Prison Van, featuring Montgomery Richards.
Come to the Portsmouth Catholic Church Hall, Saturday, May 7th from 5:30.
What are your plans this Mother's Day? Here is an opportunity to recreate antiquated traditions and celebrate with the greatest women on the face of this earth. Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day, the Extraordinary Network Digicel presents a sweet Mother Kaiser Punch and Dance at the exquisite Anchorage Hotel from 6 p.m. to midnight. Sweet Mother's Kaiser Punch and Dance. Music by 48 Karat Gold Swinging Stars, Mr. Mix, DJ Sly, and Prince Wadix. Also special appearances by King Hunter, Sai, Shadow Flow.
There is no love to compare to Mama.
And the record-breaking King Dice.
Teach me, Mama, teach me. Oh.
Mothers come and be serenaded by Calypsonians. Entrance $20. Ladies pay half price and get a free Tony's Punch on entrance. A little closer to the phone. Sweet Mother Kaiser Punch and Dance, Sunday, May 8th, Mother's Day from 6 p.m. to midnight, Anchorage Hotel. Prizes from the amazing and extraordinary network Digicel and Digicel Play. Other partners include Dominica Promotion, Dominica Calypso Association, Anchorage Hotel, Media 7-Eleven Plus, and Milan's Bar and Grill. Also Big Edge Financial Express, Angels Boutique, Robinson, Starrin and Sons, Eves Decor, Express the Zill, TBS Radio Q95 FM, the big station, Tony's Punch, Fine Foods Inc. and more. Bon Fête Mama Hot Digicel.
I heard my mother shouting, "Boy, you no good. Why you so worthless? You just like your no good father. I'll beat that badness out of you once and for all. Boy, I fed up if you know." All the violence we do to small children, the beatings, the shouting, the putting down, the insult. Is my father not guilty for treating my mother so callous and causing all this anger to build up inside her?
You heard it. The emotional story View from the Prison Van, featuring Montgomery Richards.
Come to the Portsmouth Catholic Church Hall, Saturday, May 7th from 5:30 p.m.
to see the drama come alive. Participate in a panel discussion on the root cause of violence, our role in breaking the cycle. Get your opportunity to lend your voice to breaking the cycle of violence. Bring the entire family. Entrance is free. Come learn as we move to change lives.
Portsmouth Catholic Church Hall, Saturday, May 7th from 5:30 p.m.
An activity of the OACS USA Juvenile Justice Reform Project. Let's give priority to a serious issue.
But if only somebody could save my children. I don't want them to end up like me. But I am praying for myself now. But send somebody to save my children.
Tickets on sale now for Dominica's Jazz and Creole Festival, Sunday, May 15. Available from Bullseye Pharmacy, Roseau and Portsmouth, The Champs, Picard, Tulip, Outback Bar and Grill and Phone Shack, Portsmouth. Tickets only $75, so don't miss it. Dominica's Jazz and Creole Festival, Sunday, May 15, Cabritz National Park, 2 to 9 p.m. Gates open 12 noon. Presented by the Government of Dominica with headline partner Discover Dominica Authority and gold partner Digicel. Be extraordinary.
All right, Dominica, we are back here. It's 1:34. We're hearing a lot of talks of by-elections. We're hearing possibly in the South Soufriere constituency, a lot of names being mentioned. Dennis Charles representing the Labour Party, some of the names being, brought up there. And of course, there's also a few other names that surfaced before. I'm sure you'll hear a lot about them in the near future. There's also talk of, possibly another by-election in the Roseau South constituency. And now, just some whispers a few minutes ago that might happen again, too, in the Collio constituency. The MP there has not been feeling so well lately, and she was out for a few weeks in recent times. We're hearing that there may be a meeting on Thursday this week in Collio. It's just talk. So we'll see what goes on. Athi Mate is in the house with me. Athi, you're surprised of all this possible talk of by-elections?
First of all, you should, Matt, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
You should let your listeners know that I'm not the one who whispered in your ear.
No, sure. No. One of my sources, Athi.
Because I wouldn't whisper, I would shout.
Yeah. It's strange that you're saying that. Yeah, somebody might say it's Athi. No, it wasn't Athi Mate, okay? But I just said that, somebody is called, very good source, and said, Matt, keep your eyes to the ground there.
But it's interesting, Matt, because I do believe that these are very, very testing and challenging times. And particularly so for persons with responsibilities and persons who maybe, under-anticipated or didn't anticipate that holding a position of responsibility would carry with it, enormous weight that could in fact impact their physical well-being and their health. And it does, because the stress associated with, doing a job at a time when apparently resources are unavailable, quite in contrast to the early years of let's say from 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth. Resources are short and scarce, and the needs are great, and we've had, both natural and man-made disasters, meaning, for instance, we've had Black Sigatoka. We had some serious health issues in terms of chikungunya and now Zika. We've had Tropical Storm Erica. We've had serious issues related to the state of the business sector. People are not seeing their way. People are not earning, so people have had to let people go quietly. And then you've had the dramatic closures of, the aerial tram. You've had the dramatic closure of DCP. These are huge hits on a tiny economy, and it requires real mettle, real resilience, real capacity, real teamwork if actually these issues are to be properly addressed. And I'm afraid that the style of leadership that we appear to be saddled with is not up to the task, because this is not a job for any one man. In that the comic books and in the movies, Superman, Superman would say, this is a job for Superman. And then he would just take off and so forth. Well, we don't have any Superman. Nobody flies anymore. And so it really is that, I believe, unfortunately, the harsh reality of managing a society, no matter how small, in these days and times, has suddenly seemed to hit. All the signs were there, though. All the signs were there. We grabbed a hold of Petrocarib. We absorbed and kept retained earnings over $300 million. And we can't see what we did with that money, Matt.
And I few things I just learned, in recent times, that things are tough in Venezuela.
And if you look at Venezuela, and I'm following it very, very closely, I have actually lots of colleagues from the English-speaking Caribbean who live and work in Venezuela. And they tell you, they're all looking to get out, of course. And we have to think of our students who are down there and how do we secure their safety and well-being. But it's really rough and tough, and it has its beginning in management, but it also has some issues related to climate change, because the dry weather has actually created some severe water shortages, and hydro is the main source of power for the domestic requirements of Venezuela. People don't seem to understand that. When you hear Venezuela, you think oil and gas and so on and so on. But no, Venezuela has huge lakes, huge rivers, huge waterfalls, and they have dams, big dams. And when the water level is not adequate to recharge those dams and those hydro systems, yes, they get short of power, and that's why they have gone to 2-day weeks, 4-day weekends. I mean,
so there are implications for small economies like ours.
There are severe implications for us. When we lost, some of our hydro capability some years ago, it was another storm, and we were not able to replenish it. Yeah, that was an error in judgment, in political management. We should have restored partly, what we lost in hydro, and we should have developed our micro hydro, because there are several of our larger rivers that could tolerate a 3, maybe even a 5 megawatt hydro plant, and that would have diversified our energy source and reduced further our need for fossil fuel and made us a greener country. Unfortunately, we didn't do that. Unfortunately, we also didn't do the wind or the solar. I mean, as a young man, I do remember that the energy plan for Dominica was to put wind turbines on the East Coast, where you had the trade winds from the Atlantic Ocean, to put solar power on the West Coast, where you had long hours of sunlight, to put hydro power in the interior, where you had actually rivers and waterfalls and so on. At that time, geothermal wasn't much on the agenda, but it was clear that Dominica had a 3-pillar strategy for renewable energy. Unfortunately, no government has yet implemented such a strategy. We've replicated the banana approach to business in energy, which is a mistake, and I hope that mistake can be corrected before it's too late. Which is depending on one source of energy, and in this case it's fossil fuel, and now we were talking geothermal, but frankly, and I will say so publicly again, I think they've made errors with the geothermal because of political interference in the technical task.
But I heard the ambassador last week speaking to geothermal, and I don't think from what I gathered from him that this government has actually forgotten.
Well, it hasn't forgotten it, but the geothermal strategy has forgotten them. Because, Matt, you see, geothermal is potentially a huge source of energy, but it has to be done right. If you don't do it right, you will actually neutralize the potential very, very quickly. And that's what we did. We should have gone the route that was recommended at first, which is a small 5 megawatt plant, and run that plant for 8 to 11 years. That's what the best practices suggest. Then you will develop a capacity with it, just as we have it with hydro. We have people who know hydro. We needed to build a core of technical people who know geothermal. That was the way to do it. But I think there were political items on the agenda. They wanted to do it fast. They had friends in the Conseil Regional in Guadeloupe, and they felt that they had the capacity to go forward with a power purchase agreement with Guadeloupe and Martinique. And it fell through.
The French has forgotten.
The French forgot us because the French realized that basically what we're doing was playing politics with science. And you cannot play politics with science and technology. You have to do the politics in terms of setting the policy, but you actually have got to allow the scientists and the technical people to do their job. Stop interfering.
That you think that has been happening?
I think that's really, that was the cardinal error in anything. Technically, I think the fellows were pushed, the people were pushed to come up with reports like the so-called EIAs that were not EIAs at all. They were not even EIAs. They were impact assessments for the drill holes, but they were not EIAs for the whole valley, which is what you do. The impact area is the entire Roseau Valley, all the way including Roseau. Last year, the French came and did it. But that is what should have been the first study, Matt. The first study 7 years ago when we first started talking about geothermal development was to have done that, what they call a baseline study.
And the French discovered what, Arthur?
The French discovered that we ignored some of the critical threats from the development of geothermal in that particular valley, not the least of which was the geological and potentially seismic threat, and which in fact a lot of people raised, but also the hydrological threat, to the extent that a lot of the water resources that keep the Roseau Valley and the Roseau River going are underground sources. Like the lakes at the top eventually seep underground and then reappear as ravines and into the Roseau River. And when you drill past those sources, you actually begin to interfere with and divert, the flow of that underground water. That is your lifeline. It is the lifeline for the Roseau River. And so it seems to me that they have discovered that the hydrological studies were superficial, the geological subsurface studies were superficial, even the what they call the acoustic studies, the noise from for instance, they did acoustic studies for just kind of little localized areas within 50 meters, 100 meters of the drill holes. But these people did acoustic studies. What if you did in fact have a 25 or 30 megawatt capacity in that valley? What would the noise level be? And that began to be unsustainable. Because you remember the valley, Matt, you know the Roseau Valley, it's in a hollow. So it's like a speaker system. So if you initiate a loud sound down below, it will resonate against the walls of the valley. People would not be able to live there. Certainly, visitors may not want to go there, because remember, once you tap geothermal, it's a forever. It keeps on going. You cannot shut it off. You understand? So the noise would become permanent, the hydrological impact would be permanent, and the potential seismology and geology impact would be potentially devastating. So, yeah, that's some of what they have discovered, and they also discovered that the majority of people in the valley actually have more concerns about geothermal than actually we thought.
Atimati, a very important subject this afternoon, and of course quite timely too. Yeah. We're hearing that some environment ministers are meeting in Dominica in the next few days.
Yeah, it appears that the OECS environment ministers are meeting in Dominica for a 2-day meeting, and that's good. That's good. I mean, I think it's important that people periodically who make policy in a sector like the environment should meet. I see that on the agenda are some really interesting, important issues. Unfortunately, I'm not sure the extent to which these meetings allow the ministers and their technical people to get into this in sufficient detail. For instance, I'm seeing here the business of ocean governance. Dominica has had serious ocean issues, in terms of effluents, in terms of garbage, in terms of nitrate runoff from agriculture, in terms of sewage runoff and so forth. But we've also had governance issues for our oceans vis-a-vis Bird Island. The Venezuelans took Bird Island, which is within Dominica's exclusive economic zone. And we are signatories, as are all of the islands, to the Law of the Sea Conference that establishes those zones. But CARICOM, neither the OECS nobody came to our aid, and they allowed Venezuela to take that island away from us. So these are governance issues, and they come back to haunt you. There is the question of what are our seas being used for? How come we don't have an efficient inter-island ferry service? That's a governance issue as it relates to, the use of a resource. Why doesn't the OECS initiate an intra-regional ferry service to complement air access to the islands? You're probably not old enough to remember the federal boats, but
not old enough, I think.
But that is how a lot of us discovered the Caribbean, by taking low-cost VEPs and rides on those boats as groups of young people. And nowadays, the issue of having options and alternatives. How easily airports can be shut down for one reason or the other. The ocean is always there. Yeah, you may have a heavy sea. Once the sea passes, the boats can run again. So it does seem to me that these are some of the governance issues. Now, this may not sound like an environmental issue, but it is. Because the environment is not separate from the economic and commercial utilization of a resource. It is just to make sure that it is used in a sensible and sustainable way.
But I think is climate change forming part of that agenda for these ministers?
Well, I'm sure that is the overarching issue, because we are in the middle of a drought. For example, there are islands to the north of us who have not had a drop of rain for almost 2 weeks or more. And a few weeks ago, I was in Antigua for another regional meeting on drought. And we discovered there that Antigua, for example, was experiencing a 2 million gallon water deficit per day. In other words, Antigua was short of water every day by 2 million gallons at that time. And as the drought continued, and their ponds got lower and their aquifers got lower.
But can we, as Dominica, fill that vacuum, Matthew?
Of course we can, and this is what we have been proposing. And I made the point at the meeting that the only water surplus island in the Eastern Caribbean is Dominica. Unfortunately, Matt, while all the islands have a way to receive water, to receive oil and gasoline and kerosene, none of them have the capacity to receive bulk water. So it's like, your neighbor has what you need, but you don't have what you need to capture it, to hold it. So they cannot bring it to you. And that has been the issue. We brought that to the Dowasco people, and Dowasco had known about that. Because years before, Dowasco had been approached by places like St. Lucia whenever they had a drought. So as Mr. Etinoff used to tell me, Afi, every time we told him, okay, we're ready, where do we put it? There was a loud silence. They had no place to receive the water. So although they need it, they don't have the pipelines that a barge or a water tanker could pull up, just like the fuel tankers pull up, and just connect up, and it goes into a storage facility from which you deliver.
Something that seems so simple.
It seems clear, it seems so logical, so sensible, and I do believe, and we've actually shared that thinking with Dr. Didiscus Jules, who's a friend and a colleague of mine going way back when, and he's the Secretary General. We've put in his hand a copy of the analysis of the water deficit situation in the Eastern Caribbean, and how transporting water from Dominica needs to be on not just Dominica's agenda, it needs to be on the regional agenda so that they invest in putting the infrastructure in place, because that's one way to deal with the impact of climate change.
Let's take a phone call. Hello.
Yes, Mark, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
African Martin, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
African Martin, it's interesting that what you're talking about, the geothermal, because you are giving a complete opposite story as to what Vince Henderson is saying. Because what Vince Henderson said when he was there the last time is that the geothermal project is still on, and it is going to happen. And what you are saying there is completely opposite. I'm trying to wonder, where did you get that information from that the French pulled out? Because from the documents I saw, that the French are still on, and the money is just waiting to come through. That's right now is the issue, the money, and not the French, because the agreement still holds with Martinique and Guadeloupe to purchase power from Dominica, and the geothermal is going to happen. I don't know where you get your information that they pull out, but no one has pulled out according to the document that's in front of me.
I got information from the government of Dominica. These are official documents as well. For instance, saying, you see, we first heard of the French pulling out when the Electricité de France decided that they were no longer interested in purchasing power from Dominica. And the Electricité de France is the Ministry of Energy of France that governs power arrangements in Martinique and Guadeloupe. So while we might have friends in Guadeloupe and Martinique that will be telling us, okay, we still want it, we still will take it and so on. The government of France, which is the government of Guadeloupe and Martinique, long ago has pulled out. And you must know why. The reason is there is a direct relationship between the cost of geothermal energy and how deep you have to drill. And when the French saw that we were drilling beyond a depth of 1 kilometer below Dominica's surface to explore for sustainable supplies of geothermal, that is when they pulled out of the power purchase agreement. And that is when the funding through the Conseil Régional, which comes originally from the French government, that funding dried up. And then Dominica's strategy, and this is where Vince Henderson came in, his strategy was to try to identify private financing in France. And he went to Suez and private companies. And it turns out, in the group of companies that he identified as being interested in, and they formed a consortium to refinance, to fill the gap that the French government pulling out created, a couple of these companies had been in bankruptcy court in France.
Because I'm reading here, Arthur, very interesting that this gentleman will say, are you still on the line, sir? No, you're still on the line. Because the last press release, or the recent press release, April 13th, says significant progress has been made in discussions on terms of an agreement for the development of Dominica's geothermal resource. A government official has said the Dominica government and the Electricité de France, a French infrastructural development company, has been in discussions over the past 6 months, according to a press release from Dominican ambassador to the United Nations. We're talking, Vincent, the same discussion there. The process is being led by a team appointed by the government of Dominica under the chairmanship of Ambassador Vince Henderson. The Clinton Climate Initiative, CCI, has been the government's main advisor and the team since June of 2012. So it appears, I think, that some discussion is taking place, yes?
Matt, there has to be discussions taking place. And what I said to you is that they went to a private consortium of 3 French companies to try to get the financing. What the French government did a year ago was to say, is to find a mechanism to justify their pulling out. And that mechanism was they came in and they did a baseline study that discovered and uncovered all the issues and threats and challenges that face Dominica in trying to develop its geothermal project in the Roseau Valley.
So Vince Henderson is not giving all the information?
He's not giving all the information, Matt. He's not.
All right. Are you the caller?
And the study I'm referring to is a study entitled, I have it right here on the system. It's the initial environmental status of the Roseau Valley in Dominica, planned for development of geothermal electricity production. The difference between this study and what we did before, and this study was financed and paid for by the French government. The other studies looked at the very local areas where the drill sites were. This looks at the entire impact area. And the French government has very strict environmental laws that would not allow them to spend money or to purchase a good from an area which was the site that had a negative impact on the environment of a country.
All right, are you the caller? Let's conclude that call there. Hello.
Yes, African Martin, with a project like that, if the French is pulling out, don't you think there'll be document to that?
But Anthony is saying that there's some documents.
That was public knowledge and information. When Electricité de France pulled out of the project, that was the subject of public press releases by Electricité de France, by the Conseil Régional in Guadeloupe. That was public information.
All right, let's take another phone call there. Hello, 158. We have to wrap up in a minute, but certainly we have to continue with that discussion. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt.
Yes, quickly.
Yeah, quickly, Matt. You know, Matt, but yeah, information after is giving is very good because for some of us who do not understand, the process is a long one. However, I heard Ambassador Vincent Lesson saying that Dominica is the leader and the initiator of geothermal. Yet, not one matches box has been lit by geothermal. After that money has been spent. Have a good afternoon.
But are we the leaders? Because that's what Vince is boasting.
At one time, we were the only player. At one time, which meant we would have been the leader. But guess what has happened in the meantime? While we've messed up our chances, Little Nevis has a date for when their first 7 megawatt plant will be up. St. Vincent has a date when its 7 to 10 megawatt plant will be up and operating. They are not going for something so huge and large that they will not be able to manage it financially or technically. They've kept it small, which is what we should have done. But we started talking about 150 megawatts. And selling power to Guadeloupe and Martinique. Selling power to Guadeloupe and Martinique involves an investment not only in developing the resource, but it's going to cost an additional $350 million, Matt, to just run the undersea power lines between Dominica, Martinique, and Guadeloupe.
100 and what?
$350 million just to run the lines. And it is not Guadeloupe and Martinique going to pay for that. It's we who would have to pay for that because we have something to deliver.
We have to continue with
Dominica's Jazz and Creole Festival, Sunday, May 15th.